Yes, we're on Facebook Live and on YouTube. Right.
Oh.
Let's see. And please let me know if you're watching, if you can hear us okay. That would be great. You know, technology is great, but sometimes you have issues. So thank you for joining us today. We do have more coming up this summer. So look out for some of those things. Every month we've been having Women Wednesdays office hours right here at Domi Station, where you can get free legal consulting, free business consulting. You can ask the questions that usually cost you hundreds of dollars per hour to get answers to. You can do it for free once a month right here at Domi Station with Women Wednesdays. So just look out on our Women Wednesdays Facebook page to find out more about when you can sign up for one of those. Thank you to Kurt Bender and to Julia Holly for being our experts in June. I believe Kurt will be joining us again here at Domi Station in July. And we'll have another featured business expert to make sure that your questions are answered. So get those ready and join us and look out for that. We also have some other exciting things coming up for July as well. So remember, womenwednesdays.com, Women Wednesdays on Facebook and on Instagram to find out what we have going on. And once I know that, are we live? Good.
It appears to be.
Okay, and do you hear us as well? Let's see if we have good sound. Or if I was just talking and no one heard us. Hi everyone, do you hear me okay? Yes? Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we'll pretend that that was an informal introduction. Welcome to Women Wednesdays. Thank you to everybody who came in person. We are enjoying each other's company. It's the summertime. We're enjoying some of the AC at Domi Station and some light refreshments provided by Women Wednesdays and my company, Temerity Co. So we're thankful that we're able to gather everyone today to empower her mind. I think summer is a great time to kind of do a mental and emotional reset, along with all of the other things that we're doing to prepare for the fall. We're thinking about, those fourth quarter goals, and we're thinking about all of the things that we didn't accomplish in the first half of the year. Yes, that didn't pan out, or maybe life has just changed dramatically. Right. It's that halfway point in the year. So I thought it would be a great time to bring in our speaker for today that you see right here, Catherine Ann Young. And I will tell you so much about her, but I'm going to let her do that. I'm going to let her introduce herself. But she does have an event coming up this Saturday called She's Well. Tell us about that event on Saturday.
Okay, so brief introductions. Hello, everyone on live and everyone here in the room. My name is Catherine Ann Young. I am a pre-licensed mental health professional here in the state of Florida. I work for an agency. I work with people of all ages. I work with kids, I work with adults, I work with men, I work with women, but primarily what I'm doing is like the clinical work of a therapist, cognitive behavioral therapy, talking about your life and your mental health. This past January 1st, I launched my own brand. It's called the Life Well Company. And our first phase was a podcast. We've put out 9 episodes so far. And our primary concern is looking at the intersection of our faith and our mental health and how we use our resources, our friendships, our family, and different things like that to empower our mental health and our wellness. And then this weekend, like she stated, we are having our very first event. It's our season finale to season 1 of the Life Well podcast, and it is called She's Well, and we'll be talking about all of the biological factors that impact female mental health, in addition to those environmental factors. In segment 3 of each podcast, we do something called the Digging Deeper segment. So for this particular episode, we'll be talking about those experiences of loss and longing as it relates to the motherhood journey for people who want to have children, but for some reason biologically that has not happened, or maybe you're not in the life position to have children. But I want to talk about some of the challenges that we face as mothers
And
Because I have a 12 o'clock one.
right. And its realest, truest form. So, Catherine, tell us a little bit about your background. I think we all have journeys to deciding what our mission is in the moment. So, tell us a little bit about you and how you ended up right here at the Life Well Co. and She's Well.
Okay. Well, I'm born and raised in Tallahassee. I've been here my entire life. When I graduated from high school, I went to Florida A&M University, right, the backyard of Nomi Station, and I majored in psychology my sophomore year. I started off majoring in pre-med. I thought I wanted to go to medical school and do all of the big doctor things, and no shade to the people who are doctors. I love that for you all, but chemistry was not my thing. And I knew that I wanted to be somewhere in the mental health community, so I changed my major to psychology. I excelled in those classes, and that was great and amazing. After graduation, of course, I was wanting to fulfill the psychologist dream, so I was applying to grad school. I applied to all the big ones, and I didn't get into any of them. So I was kind of at a crossroads trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I was working as a leasing consultant at the time, and an opportunity presented itself to be a teacher. So I taught for 3 years at a Title I middle school. I taught social studies, and I also had the opportunity to be a part of the creation of the Law Magnet program at our Franklin's Middle School, which was really fulfilling. And during that time, I realized I kept hitting this roadblock with the children and the families that I was serving by way of teaching, because I can teach you the preamble, I can tell you all of the things about the Constitution, but I still had youth coming into the classroom. I put my head on the desk, not because I don't care what you're saying, but I didn't sleep last night, or someone's bullying me, or I'm having this anxiety attack, and I don't want to take the test because of X, Y, and Z. So I enrolled into Florida State's social work program during the pandemic. Very interesting time. And I got my master's of social work. And following that degree, I was able to get registered as a social work intern with the Department of Health, which gives me the opportunity to be able to be a therapist, which is what I'm doing now. I see lots of little people, but I also work with the families that are responsible for getting these little people to and from school. And as of March, I am a psychology student at Florida State University. So I'm starting my PhD program in August, in addition to being a therapist and a podcast host. So we're doing all of the things. We're doing all of the things. But mental health has always been the passion, making sure that I am well and I'm putting kindness out into the world to help other people become well too.
First of all, let's give her a round of applause. I think that we should all have a round of applause for the major life decisions that we make. And the small and big accomplishments that we have in life. But there usually isn't someone around to give us a round of applause. Like, you did it. You went to work today. But truly, when we have guests here for Women Wednesdays, I like to take a moment and give you a round of applause, because the intentional decisions that you've made brought you to this point, where you're now a resource to people in the community. But you talked about a couple of kind of swerves and turns along the way. So tell us about those moments where you had to make a decision to stop something, start something.
I think the hardest transition of them all that I just listed was making the decision to leave teaching. Because I kind of went into teaching a little haphazardly. Like, I needed a job, I wanted to be on a career path, but I knew my inner desire was to be in the mental health field. So leaving leasing and going into teaching, that was easy. Leaving teaching and going into the thing I said I wanted to do my entire life was really, really hard. Breaking it to my students that, hey, I'm not going to be a teacher next year, especially the law magnet program, because we had like built up this momentum being year 2 in the program or year 3 in the program. But it came to a point where I had to just kind of sit down and reconcile within myself. This was a necessary stepping stone for you to, one, even understand why you want to work with children specifically. So that was the hardest transition, leaving the children, telling them that I was going to be leaving, and not serving them in the capacity of being a teacher. But I've also had the privilege to take some of the things I learned as a therapist and put it back into the school system, which I really, really love. Talking about some of the like social emotional learning curriculums, pushing that into the school system, and other communities that serve kids and families. So it was hard to leave them, but it was necessary.
And I can totally relate as a former Leon County Schools teacher as well. The taking the leap away from, it's like you're growing up with your students.
Right.
And the funny part about my story, which I won't share today, but the notable part is that my students were telling me that I was leaving before I said I was leaving.
Yeah.
They saw something. They saw a spark in me that I wasn't acknowledging yet, and that'll probably be in my life story one day. But my little, but my third graders, they helped me take the leap, and they're adults walking around now. That's not because I'm so old; it's because I'm so young.
Yeah. My first class, those kids are in their junior year.
Wow.
Like they drive.
Wow.
It's very strange.
It's very strange.
I saw one of them at the gas station. I'm like, oh, where's their mom? No, she's home. I'm like, how did you get here? I drove. Whoa, what do you mean? So it's a very fulfilling but necessary experience. I miss them. At times I miss the classroom, and I imagine when I transition from doing therapy full time to being a full time student again, I'm going to miss my clients. But I need to keep going. So we keep going.
We keep going. And I think that what you're doing with your podcast is one of those resources that we look to keep going. If you've never seen her podcast, please, I'm sure you can listen to it.
Yeah.
But I enjoy watching it on YouTube because you see the passion and enthusiasm that you have for the people that you're connecting to a camera, but it still feels like you're connecting to your audience. Now, I'm sure the first time you did this, it probably felt awkward.
It was awkward.
So tell us a little bit about that experience.
So the first episode that we recorded, one of my very best friends is the executive producer on the podcast. So it was just me, her, and my phone in my house. And she hit the button and she was like, and go. And I froze. And I just kind of sat there. She's like, you gonna talk? And I'm like, I don't know what to say. So she turned the camera off. And I sat there and I cried just a little bit. And I took a deep breath and I got it together and we recorded the introduction, and then she stopped and she was like, okay, now we're gonna do the bulk of the episode. She was like, do you want me to do it in sections or do you want to just try to do it? I said, let's just try to do it. And the minute she hit record that second go around, we filmed the entire first episode in one take. Wow. And we finished and she was like, you did it. And I just cried. And I just cried and cried. It was so exciting. And then during the editing process of the first episode, I was like, oh my goodness, there's not that much to cut out. There's not that much that we have to change. And then I put it out and I did the launch party with my friends and family in my house. And I was just like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to take the different areas of people's lives, their faith, their professionalism, their lifestyles, their exercise, their physical health, and I want to smush it all together and make it make sense. So that's what I've been doing with the first season of the podcast.
It's the make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
You know, and I wanted to ask you that because a lot of times when we're starting something new, it can be, can be exhilarating until it's like, and go.
Right.
And then it hits you all at once. Like, I actually quit that job, or I actually took that promotion. I'm about to have this baby. Right. Or for some women, I've decided to not have a baby. Yeah. So it always seems like doable until it's time to do it. Yeah. What would you say to the person that now that you've had this experience and you have found a great deal of fulfillment and motivation in taking that step, what would you say to a woman right now that is watching this? Like, man, I felt like that. I was about to hit go and then it was too scary, so I stopped and backed up.
I think the greatest perspective I've learned throughout my career as a therapist and doing this podcast is it's not simply the decision to get out of your comfort zone. It's really the commitment to expand your comfort zone. So sometimes we're really apprehensive to do something new because we don't think that we have the skill set, or we don't think we're the kind of girl who does this thing because of the experiences you've had in the past. But you can expand your comfort zone and make podcasting or hosting events or whatever it is
Right now. Well, it looks like we might be back. Maybe.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
we're back. So if you missed that part, don't worry. It was awesome. But we'll try to say what we can and get it back. But we're back right now. So thank you to everyone that kind of said, "Wait, where'd you go?" We're back and we'll continue. So today we are talking about empowering her mind, elevating women's wellness. Um, Tell us why that's important and how you hope to do that through the Life Will Co. and through your event.
Like you kind of stated in the beginning, summer is a very interesting time, I think, in everyone's lives, whether you have children or you are a child. Everyone's kind of on this like break lull. It's 110 degrees in Tallahassee right now. So it's a very interesting time in life. You got to be inside, so it's a perfect time to reflect. I think when we talk about female mental health specifically, there's so many components that go into it that are foreign to the average individual. So my hope is to be able to take some of those complex ideals about mental health and health in general and put it into a digestible format. And especially with the She's Well, the event that's happening this weekend, like take for example the menstrual cycle. Everybody knows that we have it, everybody knows that it does stuff, but do we actually know what it is? When we talk about the 4 different phases of the cycle, you get the scientific names. It's best easily explained as 4 seasons. Yeah, we as women, we have 4 seasons every single month. And without fail, you go through your own winter, you know what that feels like. We go through our own spring, you go through your own fall, and you go through your own summer. And understanding what that means can help you navigate those moments where you're like, I really just, want a 10-piece honey lemon pepper with fries, and I don't want to be bothered. Oh, it's the 15th of the month. What does that mean? How can I add value to my diet? How can I add value to the conversations? Maybe I need a longer hug from a friend today. Maybe instead of doing CrossFit training, I need to go do some stretching, so that we have those resources so that our body is working for us and not against us. Me and my friends, we say so often, when it is that time of the month, my body is revolting against me. That's not necessarily true. There's different things that you can do to empower what's already happening on the inside of you so that you don't feel like the whole world is crashing down. Because it can.
It can feel like that. And that is one of the best ways of describing. You're going through 4 seasons in a month.
Every month.
And trying to navigate it in the world and pretend nothing's happening.
Right.
Because saying I'm going through 4 seasons would make a lot of other people uncomfortable.
It would.
I'm all over the place. Now, for me, I'm someone who regularly talks about, my body in that way. At this point, people expect it.
Yeah.
But
the
average individual,
and the expectation, especially during the summertime for women, is that you're summer all the time. I'm happy-go-lucky. I want to socialize. I want to be out with my friends. I'm wearing my best outfits. I feel amazing. I feel beautiful. I feel confident. But on the inside, it may be winter. But the expectation from society, from work, from husbands, from children, is that I'm summer 100% of the time. So kind of understanding the biological components of that, which we'll talk about more in depth at She's Well this weekend, can kind of help you make sure that your body has the nutrients that it needs, the antioxidants that it needs, the water, right? People get so sick of therapists saying drink your water, but it helps. Dehydration and depression have some very similar symptoms, and it's really, really difficult to decipher between the two. If you're dehydrated, so grab your water, everybody take a sip.
Everyone's grabbing their water.
Dehydration can do wonders to your mind if you let it linger. And then you end up in therapy and you're like, I just don't understand why I can't regulate my mental health. You don't have the water that it takes to regulate those
That is
neurotransmitters.
so interesting. You said dehydration and depression.
They can overlap. That's the first thing I ask clients. What's your relationship with water like?
Wow.
Now, is it that simple to be hydrated and depression goes away? Absolutely not. Depression is a clinical diagnosis. But at times, it can be that simple.
It can be that simple.
Especially in the summer. This is 103 degrees.
And you know, it is 103 degrees. And even when you think you're hydrated,
you may
probably not.
Yeah.
And I've always heard if you're thirsty, that means you've been dehydrated. And you really need to up your water intake. But it's interesting because even in that simple example, a lot of times when we think about conditions like depression, and we use that so loosely now, we kind of throw the word around. Anytime we're feeling a little blue of some sort. But it's interesting that just in this conversation, I'm already thinking about the connection between how I'm feeling and my water intake versus before I would only think it's external factors, something that maybe is happening to me versus something that I'm not doing for myself.
And there's lots of factors that contribute to it. It's not just water. Your diet is going to play a major role in that. And that's really what the LifeWell company is looking at, those intersections with those external factors like relationships and work and how that's impacting with your food intake. And when was the last time you got a good sweat and got your heart rate up so that your heart knows how to regulate you, get those anxiety triggers and all of those things. So we have a whole body and we want to work the whole body, and wellness is from the top down. So we work alongside psychiatric nurse practitioners. I'm always referring people back to their PCP, like, go get your blood work done. Do you have a vitamin D deficiency? Because if you're feeling a little blue, then that makes sense because your body doesn't have all the things that it needs. Now, I didn't go to medical school. We talked about that. Biology wasn't for me, but I've got some PCP friends in town, and I send my clients right to them, go get your blood work done. And sometimes it comes back, blood work is normal. We're really hydrated. Nothing's going on biologically. And then we sit and we look at the mental health aspect of it. How are you processing the information that you're receiving? What lens do you look at life through?
Really interesting to think about that. And I think that's why today has the perfect title. If you're just joining us online, we're here at Domi Station, Women Wednesday Speaker Series. Yes, we are still going, but we've slowed down a little bit just for the summer, where we have a speaker series event once a month and an office hours event once a month. You can also look forward to some virtual conversations coming up as well throughout the summer. But we're talking to Catherine Ann Young. She is a local therapist here in Tallahassee and the founder of the LifeWell company. We're talking about empowering her mind through elevating women's wellness. And something that I noticed that we've already been talking about in the conversation is you talking about the whole woman, so women's wellness as a whole. So remember, at any point here in the room, if you have questions, please just shout them out. This can be a conversation, so shout them out or write them down so that you won't forget them. And then online, if you have questions, put them in the comments, and we'll try to get those to Catherine as well as we continue the discussion. So yes, so you're talking, you said, okay, we're gonna think about what's going on internally, and then we're gonna think about what's going on mentally. If a woman says, okay, I am watching this live stream, or I came to this event because the idea of elevating my women's wellness was just, it excited me. So what would be my first step? What should I do?
Well, I'm biased, of course, so my first step would be go to therapy. Find you a therapist. And you're interviewing your therapist just as much as they're getting to know you, right? So you really want to be able to click with the individual that you're sitting down in a room with, because you are sitting down in a room with a closed door with one singular individual. So you want to make sure that you're connecting with someone. My second step, of course, would also be engaging in some kind of physical movement. Now, I don't do CrossFit, never even been to a CrossFit facility. I have no interest in that, but a nice walk around Target can go a long way. So if you're wanting to elevate your mind, we have a whole body, top down, top up. So we want to make sure that we're moving, and then diet and exercise. Of course, that's where we're going.
So really, there are things that they can do tangibly in hand to get started. Because I think sometimes we worry about access and what we can and can't afford, or can and can't do. But you're saying it's as simple as getting started with what you have, taking a walk, paying attention to maybe how much outdoor time you're
sunlight, direct sunlight, and just for the sake of elevation, specifically for your mind itself. One of my favorite questions I ask it at the end of almost all of my sessions is, "What do you believe?" And I ask people to reflect on whatever it is that they find as a foundational, fundamental belief, and what is it that you want to believe. And then we take that answer and we figure out what is getting in the way of those things that you desire to believe about what you can accomplish and who you can be, and how that's disrupted and separate from your beliefs. And I mean, that's something that you can do simply in a journal. You can just write it out to yourself. Like, what do I believe? I believe that the sky is blue. That's an undeniable fact. I believe that I am a woman. That's an undeniable fact. I want to believe that I'm a good woman. I want to believe that I'm a smart woman. What gets in the way of you believing that? And then in therapy, we're kind of able to have that conversation. Well, I want to believe that I'm capable of starting a business, but the last time I tried, I failed. Okay, that foundational belief that you have the ability to fail is now disrupting that elevation of your mind. So that's something that, of course, I recommend that you work through with a therapist. But of course, if you just want to do so in reflectively journaling, that's a great place to start as well.
Wow. Does anybody have any thoughts on that or any questions?
I have been following a company called We're Not Really Strangers recently, and they have numerous self-reflective journals. They have games that you can play by yourself in a journal format, or they have question packs for couples, for friends, for family, and it's super fun. I found it extremely valuable in all of my growing friendships, as well as just me personally. So for questions like that, it's just an entire day. What do you believe in? Why? What are your hindrances or your barriers? Why? How can you work through those? So just a random thing that seems really helpful.
I have to look into it. And something that I don't think is discussed enough is that once you find out that you have these beliefs or you have these things that are getting in the way of what you believe about yourself, you can change them. The brain has a really cool element in science where it's neuroplasticity, but all it means is mind change. Okay, so from the day you were born, you started learning, and there's some things that you don't remember, and there's some things that you have forgotten, because the brain is designed to change over time. It's like, if you think about how bubble gum, you chew it, and then you stretch it, it's a new format, you stretch it this way, it's a new format. The brain can kind of do the same thing. So if you have a fundamental belief that you're not good enough from childhood, you can 100% change that and really believe that you are good enough. We just have to deconstruct some of those ideas that have fortified that.
And would you say, not one, before I forget, what was that you mentioned?
We're not really strangers.
We're not really
strangers. Very cool. That sounds like a fun resource. But so I know that a lot of times we'll think that what we know is what we know. And and maybe with age that it's just who I am, and you kind of work within those confines. But what you're saying is that the ability to change is always there.
It's almost innate. As human beings, we were designed to adapt. We've been adapting since the beginning of time. So to suggest that, oh, well, I'm just someone I'm just not a morning person. I would say I'm not a morning person. But if life called on me and put a demand on me to be a morning person, which it probably will in August when I start school, I have the material genetically to change, because our brains are supposed to change over time. As we take in new information and we make meaning out of that information, we can change over time.
So interesting. I know that was one of my things. I'm not a morning person, and it's almost frightening to me that I like what 5 o'clock in the morning feels like now.
I used to go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. I can't find the energy to do this. So I changed. I went backwards, but I did change.
Yeah, but you did change. You did change, and that's part of being armed with that information that, okay, whatever it feels like at this moment, I can change. And like you said, therapy is a powerful tool to help us get there. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect from your event on Saturday.
Okay. On Saturday, well, there'll be food, of course. We're going to be having some snacks, which is very exciting.
And I want to mention that even though it's a live event on Saturday, this is going to be a live recording. So this will be available online well after Saturday.
Yes, absolutely. So, like we said a little bit earlier, it's the season finale of season 1 of the Life Well podcast. So you come in, there's going to be vendors, the National Alliance on Mental Illness is going to be there, maternal perinatal services are going to be there, the Millennial Mommy's Club is going to be there. So when you arrive around 12 o'clock, you'll be able to kind of go to those vendors, get your plate, and have your seat. At 12:30, we'll be starting the recording. Myself, a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, a doula, and a mommy influencer will be having this conversation about female mental health.
What a great panel.
Yeah, we're decked out. I'm very excited, very excited. And then as soon as the recording ends, we're going to do a live Q&A. Live meeting is happening there in the room, but we will not be recording it because we want to create that safe space if somebody has a specific question for their situation, for them to know that it's not going to be, put on YouTube or anything like that. And then after the event, we'll be taking pictures and eating cupcakes.
Oh my goodness. So you get to come meet new people. We hope that you come and connect with new people, much like we do here at Women Wednesdays. Have listened to a great conversation. I mean, what a power-packed panel that is. And then have cupcakes.
Cupcakes for sure.
I mean, that sounds like a great time.
Sounds like a great day to me.
So what do you hope for the Life Well Company going forward?
Ooh, so there's going to be a very special announcement that happens at the end of She's Well. So you have to attend the event to hear what that is. But I hope to continue the season. In season 2, we already have some guests lined up. So season 1 was a completely single person episode. It's just me talking to my phone. But in season 2, every other episode will be kind of like this format. It'll be a dual conversation. I have a cardiovascular heart surgeon that will be interviewing, talking about the relationship between your cardiovascular health and your mental health. We'll also be talking to a finance expert, talking about financial stress and how that impacts your mental health, and some more very important intersections. I hope to do He's Well one of these days. Man Monday, something like that. I don't know. But
We always say we're not leaving the men out.
We don't leave the men out. That is not her.
Commissioner Curtis Richardson always says, he's like, faithful Women Wednesdays.
Yeah, we're not leaving the men out. So just some more smaller events probably throughout the fall semester, knowing that I will be in school. But season 6, I don't know, season 22, season 25, we'll see how far it goes.
Because you said that once you were able to get past that initial shock of going, you ended that first episode saying to yourself, this is what I want to do.
This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I'll always be a therapist. By the time I finish my doctoral program, I will be a psychologist. I want to do testing. I want to be in the schools. I do want to still have that one-on-one client interaction, but to kind of make all that science that I've learned digestible information for the average human being.
Wow, that is amazing. I want to give anyone the opportunity, if you have any questions or comments, please let us know. Were there any questions online that we missed?
Just say compliments.
Compliments. Well, we're so glad that you're enjoying this. I really feel like we're capturing you at the beginning of something very big. And so I'm excited that, you're here at Women Wednesdays. We've seen speakers come on the Women Wednesdays and go on to start very successful companies or run for political office or hold major roles within the community. And so, I'm just glad that you were able to join us today.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Absolutely.
So excited to be here.
Does anyone have any questions before we want to make sure? Any comments? Any thoughts?
I want to learn more. And you mentioned men, and I know I have somebody in my life that is looking for mental health therapy. But I want him to watch this too because you've given so much information that
Let's get connected.
applies to both sexes.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody has a mind. Should all take care of it. So the thing that we say at the end of every episode is, I hope that this episode found you well, and if not, I hope that you become well. Preferably we all stay well. So that is the whole mission and vision of the Lifelong Podcast. It's just to be well, not to be perfect, not to be an expert on all things therapeutic. That's my job. I'm supposed to learn all of the things, but to take what you need for your own wellness, so that you never feel like you're resourceless. That's what a life well is. It's a resource.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's what's important about, we use the word empower a lot, but I think that's what's important about empowerment.
Yeah.
You become your own resource, just with being armed with information. And we hope that what we do is help to continue to funnel that information to you, coming from whatever background you need. So let us know if you have suggestions, if you have topics, if you have even workshops or classes that you want to learn more about, whether it's in the wellness space, it's in technology, it's in starting a business, it's in selling a business, which is a thing as well. it's moving up within your company, career changes, motherhood, whatever it may be, retirement. We want to find those resources for you and bring them to you here on Women Wednesdays. So please let us know. You can send an email to hello@Women Wednesdays, or you can, send us a message in direct message through Facebook or Instagram. We will see your messages. You can even comment right now on this video, and we will see the notification. So if there anything else that you want to leave with us before we go?
If you're here in the room or if you're online and you're looking for somewhere to start, again, I know we briefly discussed it, just want to reiterate, you can start simply with drinking 4 glasses of water and start there and see if that has an impact on your ability to regulate your emotions. We're not dismissing anxiety, we're not dismissing, because anxiety is there for a reason. Shout out to Inside Out 2. If you have not seen it, Disney Pixar made an amazing depiction of what the emotions look like in your body. Anxiety is there as your fight or flight response. It's a great emotion if you're in the middle of the forest and you're attacking a bear, right? It's not such a great emotion to have in charge if you're in the middle of public. So really starting off with increasing your hydration, reflecting on that question, what do you believe, what do you want to believe? And then if you have your resources or are looking for more resources, find a therapist. I recommend Psychology Today. If you are of African American descent and you are female, Black girls, go to therapy.com. It's really good. Or you could just search your insurance provider's directory to see a licensed professional that takes your insurance.
Very good. You have ways to get started today. Please, even with all the technical difficulties, please share today's episode with whomever you know that you think could do well by hearing this kind of wellness pep talk today. You have the ability to change when you need to. There are ways to get started today, to take first steps, and none of it's impossible. Especially when you have the right partner, and Catherine, she could be the right partner, but she also shared with us how to find that person. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Those of us that are here in person will continue to enjoy each other's company, some refreshments, and if you're wondering about the next time Women Wednesdays will be having an event, remember just to follow us on Facebook and Instagram @Women Wednesdays. That's not more than one Wednesday, not just one. Women Wednesdays, or on womenwednesdays.com. We're doing some updates and some things coming up in fall. Really excited about it. But on behalf of Barbara Westcott, our founder, and me, Tim G. Smith, director, thank you for joining us, and we will see you at the next one. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, that was great.
Yes, it was.
Thank you. I love the simple steps you shared.
Yes.
That's
Really
great.
simple.